Mike Bernard with us on Monday morning, as always. Mike, how are you doing?
Great, coach. We have one football game remaining until basically August when we have preseason NFL.
Yeah, that's nuts. I'll tell you, I remember back in production meetings in the summer, and we were all excited about, hey, season's getting ready to kick off, and wow, it seems like it flew by this year for some reason.
The older we get, the faster they go, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. The time and bathroom breaks come more frequently, don't they? All
Yeah.
right, hey, listen. Let's. I'll stop being silly here. We'll get into recapping the championship games. Eagles 31, 49ers 7. You know, that game was shaping up to be a classic until San Francisco lost both their quarterbacks. Brock Purdy tore up his throwing elbow. At the time he was injured, he was 4 for 4, moving the ball well. And it even looked like Josh Johnson was going to be able to come in and fill in and give the Niners a chance. But a very careless fumble right at the end of the first half gave the Eagles a 14-point lead going into the locker room. And then coming out, first series, Johnson gets knocked out of the game in the second half with a concussion. And from then on, I might as well have been the one playing quarterback for the 49ers. Couldn't have done any worse.
Yeah. And, coach, in all my years of watching NFL playoffs, that's the first time I've ever seen a team relegated to zero options on throwing the ball. I mean, it made for bad ratings, of course, but it was also the main reason we won the under. It was 21-7 at the half, and it shouldn't have even been had that many points. But the second half was San Francisco had no options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Niners only attempted 17 passes in the entire game, and that's if you want to include a backyard heave by Christian McCaffrey. We'll get it up to 18. But basically, what you're looking at was 4 passes per quarter. And to put that in perspective, Purdy had averaged a little over 30 pass attempts per game since taking over as the starter. But for all the 49ers' woes on offense, let's not dismiss the outstanding game that Philadelphia's defense had, nor the solid game that Jalen Hurts played.
All the stat lines were dominated by Philly. First downs, 25-11. Rushing yards, 148-81. Time of possession was 37-23 or thereabouts. And to make matters worse, coach, the Niners had 11 penalties for 81 yards, hence the blowout. And the Eagles, they'll be favored in the Super Bowl.
Going out to Kansas City, where the Chiefs and the Bengals were tangling in the cold. Chiefs 23, Bengals 20. The last second field goal gets KC the win. And back to yet another Super Bowl. And the legend of Patrick Mahomes continues to grow. Speaking of a classic game and solid performance by both quarterbacks, this game did not disappoint. Mahomes and Joe Burrow, they both put on a show. The 2 interceptions for Burrow doesn't look good on the stat sheet, but Cincinnati's defense, they got the ball back, so there was no damage there. And besides, without Joe Burrow, the Bengals, they don't have a chance in this game. They're probably not even in the playoffs. Now, little observation, when Mahomes retires, we'll give him a little career advice. He needs to go to Las Vegas and start a show as a magician, because that's what he is. He just gets it done. I've never seen an NFL quarterback that impacts the game totally the way that he does. I mean, you would think that some of the things that he does, they're flukes, but I mean, he does them over and over again. It's like he can see out of his ears. It's crazy. And now I'm not just jumping on the Kansas City bandwagon. I mean, I've been a Chiefs fan all the way back. Super Bowl IV, Hank Stram, Lenny Dawson, Buck Buchanan, Ernie Holmes, Curly Culp. Johnny Robinson, Ed Podolak. Man, I can name them all. Okay, so again, I'm not new to the party here for the Chiefs, but Mahomes. I mean, you think of Roger Staubach, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and now Patrick Mahomes as guys you want the ball in their hand if the game is on the line, and you got to have one drive to get it done.
Look, I always try to stay away from the hyperbole, especially involving this game, and most especially when the media props up a player bigger than life status and so on. But, Coach, I've watched Mahomes at Texas Tech. I've watched him in the league in the final minutes of a game, and he might be my number one choice to lead a drive. And there's been a lot of great ones, okay? I mean, obviously Tom Brady can do it, but look what Mahomes did this year. He lost arguably the most dynamic receiver in the game, okay? He went to Miami. And Mahomes puts up better numbers this year without him. They come back in this AFC title game, and he had third and fourth string skill players on the field when he brought them back.
Yeah, and again, I'm a Chiefs fan, glad the Chiefs won, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But if I were, I'd have to take a hard look at this game because there were some calls that still, even today, I'm still scratching my head about. And it's not the last call that on the Bengals linebacker that pushed Mahomes when he stepped out of bounds. And that, of course, gave Kansas City the opportunity to kick the game winner. I mean, that was just a bonehead play, should have been flagged. But and then you even take away the Mahomes flop on that play, and LeBron James would have been proud of that flop. It was the correct call. And but the main call that I've got trouble with, even though it benefited the Chiefs, is they're facing third and long, and the back judge, for whatever reason, stops the play from very deep and very late. Nobody knows it. He comes in, the play goes on, Kansas City stopped. Then they reset third down, and they never give an explanation for it. The play clock is set at 15 seconds. Now, I've never seen that before. I mean, I've always known if a play is stopped by an official's action when the play clock is running, then it goes back to 25 seconds. And this didn't happen there. They never gave an explanation. I mean, what am I missing here?
I can't answer that. I mean, it was a do-over. Mulligans have crept their way into the NFL. As a handicapper, you got to know about these changes. I mean, being serious, how do you explain that? And then the league, their explanation was really, not acceptable.
Yeah.
And on a serious note, we needed the Chiefs and under in that game, but both of those won. But listen, if that game goes to overtime like it should have, okay, that goes from Chiefs and under to likely Bengals and over because of the overtime period. We would have gotten the chance to see the new overtime rules where if you score a touchdown on the first possession, the other team gets a possession. But we didn't see that. And, the real point of that is the lesson for bettors, both recreational and even more experienced than that. Just because you win a bet, that doesn't mean you have it figured out. That doesn't mean that, all your process was right. Look, you handicap, you run numbers, and you play the information you have. But sometimes games are just coin flips, and that's what that AFC